there. So I'm excited because we are finally getting to our collage. And so this project is going to require at least 8 to 10 images, but we're going to do some other very unique things with those images. And I think you're going to be really excited when you see how unique your collage can look. So I'm going to go straight to create new. I'm going to try to breeze through some of these things because I know we've talked about them many times. I'm going to print. I am selecting letter. I'm selecting landscape. I'm naming my work Mrs. C. Underwater. Yep. World. And since I've done a few, I'll call this version 4. I'm leaving it at RGB for now. The background color makes no difference, so white is fine. And I'm going to hit create. Now before I show you what I'm going to do to get started, I'd like to open up for you one variation of my collage. I want you to kind of get a sense of what we can do with our images. And so there's at least 10 images here, but they're all sort of overlapping each other in different ways, and there's different opacities added to them, and there's really just a few other small things added to them. I didn't use adjustment layers in this. I used some other things. So we're gonna be trying some new and unique things today. So anyway, this is one variation of my collage, and I'm sure it will look much different today when I do it, but I am going to use some similar images. All right, so my collage begins here. It's time to really quick, let me just check my workspace, make sure I have it reset. I don't like to have this screen. It takes up too much space, so I'm getting rid of it. This I do like to have double column. All right, I'm good. My zoom is perfect. I don't need it to be any bigger or any smaller. All right, time to open some pictures. When you are thinking about your collage, I want you to think what's going to go in the background? What do you envision being that thing that is way in the back? And so for me, this picture kind of is what stood out to me. I think it's a gorgeous picture. I believe it's Catalina Island, and it's gorgeous. The sky is gorgeous, the water's gorgeous. And I'm going to do something a little different. I know before I showed you how to take your marquee tool and drag it across and get those marching ants all around your picture and then drag it. And that can be very helpful, especially if I don't want this whole picture, especially if I only wanted a part of it. And in fact, I really only need a part of it, but we're going to do something different. I'm just going to take the move tool. I'm going to place it right on the picture. I'm going to left click my mouse. I'm going to drag to my art. I'm going to drag back down to the canvas, and I'm going to let go. When I do that, I'm going to just get it up into the corner so I have a sense of how big this needs to be. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to go to scale. And then I have the bounding box that surrounds it. And when I drag on it, it doesn't take up the entire canvas, but I want it to. So I'm going to extend it outward. Now, you guys are using your own pictures. You're not using the same pictures I am. So this may not even be an issue for you, but we do want to use all of our space. So whatever you have happening, make sure that you're using all of your space. And for now, don't worry if the picture goes out of the boundaries. It's not going to make a difference. We're just going to leave it alone for now. All right, so I have the backdrop to my collage, and I don't need this picture anymore. So make sure you're always getting rid of the right thing. This says wallpaper, so I know that this is definitely not what I needed. So I'm going to get rid of that, and Mrs. C Underwater World version 4 is still what I see in the left top tab. Now it's time to start opening some more pictures, and I'm going to open several at a time. I'm going to work with pictures that I think are going to be part of my backdrops. So this picture I will somehow include in part of my backdrop. I think the sand I will somehow include as part of my backdrop. When I look at other things, these jellyfish kind of have a cool look, and believe it or not, this is going to be more for a screen. And let's see, for now I'm going to start with these pictures, and then we will add more as we need. So my second picture looks like this, and I don't really have anything about it that I don't want. You know what? I think I love the water aspect of it. I don't love the sky aspect of it. So what I'm going to do, we used the rectangular marquee before. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee again, but this time I'm only going to grab that section because I don't need the sky. I don't really think I want that. So I will click on my move tool, and I'm going to drag just this part of the picture into this part of the picture. Now right now you probably are thinking to yourself, so what did she need that for? I will show you what I'm using it for. So I'm going to go to Edit, I'm going to go to Transform, I'm going to go to Scale. I want to enlarge this, and it looks like I've completely changed what the bottom of this looked like, but truthfully that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to put this into a transparency. So this, you see right there where it says opacity, right now it's 100%. That means this picture is 100% covering the other picture. I don't want it to 100% cover the other picture. I want it to sort of blend in with the other picture. So I'm going to kind of play with the opacity on this and let these two pictures sort of kind of commingle. And so now both of these pictures are sort of working together and creating a unique look. And I might just bring that up slightly just to kind of get closer to those clouds. And then if I hit my check mark, and now I've sort of merged these two photos together. So I don't need this one anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. My next picture is some sand, and I'm thinking, well, I definitely don't need all of that sand. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go to this tool, the lasso tool, and it looks like a lasso, you can see, and I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to left click on my mouse, and right about here I'm just going to start drawing around my seashells. I don't need to get that close because I do want to see some of the sand, and I'm going to kind of go around my starfish, and I can be sort of creative with this. And then once I get here, I'm just going to go completely to the outside, because really all I want it to do now is pick up the edge of the picture. But as I get back to where I started, I'm just going to let those two areas touch, and when I let go, you see I have those marching ants. So now I go to my move tool, and I start to drag just that portion to my work. And then I'll bring it back down, and when I let go, there it is. Now right now it doesn't really fit, but because this is meant to be sort of a fun, very abstract design, I'm not at all concerned about having to skew it or to stretch it. So I'm just going to drag till it goes across and reaches the other side. And if I feel like that's too much, I can even drag it down a bit so that maybe it doesn't take up quite as much. Now, right now the opacity on this, well, let me just click this really quick to commit it in terms of its size. The opacity on this is still 100%. And I could lessen that if I wanted to. If I wanted that to be something that just sort of blends in with those other pictures, I could, or I could sort of go somewhere around 75%. I like when things have sort of a blend, so I might kind of go in here somewhere, leave it at like 85%. Now there is something I have not done yet. I haven't named my layers, and before I get too carried away, I might want to do that. So this one I'm going to call background, because truthfully this is essentially my background. I'm going to call this one layer 2, but I'm also going to say water. I'm going to keep this one labeled layer 3 so that I kind of know the order, not to say that things might not change, and if they do, I might rename them. But I'm going to go there. One last thing I want to do, when I look at the sand here, I'm clicking on the sand and you can see the sand is gray. I want to stretch it out a little more. I don't think I like this side. I think I could be just as happy if I didn't see the whole thing over there. So I think I'm going to leave it like this instead. And now I'll click check. All right, so what pictures do I have left here? Well, I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. I haven't used my jellyfish yet, and I really like these jellyfish. And the reason I like these jellyfish is because they add color. And so I'm going to bring those jellyfish down and put them right on top here. And I'm actually going to edit this, transform this, scale this, drag it down. Now it may go behind the sand. Right now the opacity on it is, I need that opacity to be light, because although I do want to see those colors, I don't necessarily want them to hide everything else. The one other thing I'm going to do is I want the sand above that. I don't want to see my jellyfish where the sand is. Okay, so the jellyfish are going to go away. What do I have next? Next, when I open, what other items do I have? I have a dolphin. Let's just bring that dolphin in real quick. He's really cute. If I go to this dolphin, and if you recall, if we click here, Object Selection Tool, we've got this great little tool here, Select Subject. And when I click Select Subject, strangely enough, he came perfectly out. Now, if he hadn't, I would have shown you how we would have gotten him perfect. But since he is perfect, I'm going to go to my Move tool, going to slide him up into my document, slide him back down. There he is. Now he looks like he's in front of my sand. That's kind of an interesting feature, to think that maybe he's on the beach. Like, he's not really in the water, he's in the beach. So I might leave him there. And I might want him to have a friend. So I might just go up to Edit, and then I might go to Copy, Edit, Paste. Sometimes I'm thinking, but the words don't come out. And now he's not by himself anymore, but I don't want my second guy to be the same size. I want my second guy to be just a little smaller, because maybe, you know, no two people or dolphins are the same size. So maybe this one's smaller. This one could even be much smaller. Maybe this is the baby. I could have him down there. But so he could be there. He could be completely somewhere else. He could be on the other side, or I could even flip him like we did before. If I go to transform, flip horizontal, now he's facing inward, and they're sort of like kind of looking at each other. They're near each other. Yeah, it's getting kind of weird, but I'm going to leave it at this for now. So with my other items, I'm going to show you one more. I'm not going to complete this collage, but I do want to just give you ideas on things that you can do. I'm going to open up one more, something that's going to be slightly different. I have a variety of items here. I have sea turtles, I have fish, I have a lot of things I can bring into this. Most of them would be easy. The pearl would be easy to select subject and pull out. That starfish would be easy to do the same thing with. There's a bird here that I could have flying in the sky if I wanted to, and I have no doubt that if I go to my select tool and click select subject, you can see how perfectly that bird has been pulled out in Photoshop. All I need to do now is go to my move tool, drag him to my artwork, pull him in, and there I've got my bird flying in the sky. Now right now he seems a little too real compared to everything else, so maybe I want to back him up a little bit. Maybe I want him to go under the jellyfish. To do that, I just slid that slide behind the jellyfish, because the jellyfish are creating a screen. If I don't want him like that, if I really do want to see him clearly, I can do that. If I want to change the opacity on him, I can change the opacity on him, so now he blends just slightly with the background. There is one other picture I wanted to show you, because it is something that if you were to come across something like this, you might not know what to do. And that one was, I'm trying to remember because I was working with it earlier. Oh, it was this bird. And so when I opened my bird before, you would think he would be perfect. You would think that I could easily go to select subject, and sure enough, there he is, and I can pull him out perfectly because of that black background. But there's one little thing standing in the way, and it's that white rope. And I don't necessarily want that white rope in my collage. So what I can do is, after I click select subject and I see that he's mostly there, I can now click select and mask. And when I do this, I have it set at red. My color is at red and the opacity is 100. And what I need to do at this point is I need to remove that white rope. So to do that, I'm going to click the minus sign. 80 simply tells me how big my brush is going to be. And you can see when I put my brush on the page here how big it is. Now, I don't want to necessarily lose everything. I don't want to lose the white little piece that is coming off of the top of his head. I might want to reduce the size of the brush so that I can get closer. And there's certainly more things I can do. We'll talk about masks later. But you might run into a situation like this. Right now, I've been trying to get you to, when you find pictures, look for pictures where there's a pretty solid background. If there's a pretty solid background, you're going to have an easy time selecting, but occasionally you're not. And so I was able to get rid of that rope by doing that, by hitting select mask and then making sure that the minus sign was checked, and then clicking the brush and then just painting away what I don't want. And now when I hit OK, you can see that the marching ants have eliminated the white. So at this point, I can go to my move tool. I can drag him out of the picture. I can bring him into my picture. He looks a little funny. Where do I want him to be? He's big. And I can kind of transform him a little bit, scale him, make him a little smaller. Okay. And maybe he's just kind of sitting there watching everything going on. And again, I'm probably just going to adjust the opacity a little bit, because I just really don't want anything to look that that opaque. And did I do my, I'm even going to do that to my dolphins. I'm just gonna soften them a little bit so that there's just this hint of what's behind them showing through. Okay? Now, the last thing I would do to a collage like this is I would add words to it. Okay, so if I click the T, that's for text. You see I get this little scroll here, and I can make a box. And this box is where my writing is going to be. Now right now, before I type anything, I want to look and see what size is the font. 11.85 is fine. Be careful if it's a really large font, because if it's a large font, then you're going to have a hard time kind of finding the lettering that's already there. So, you know, my other collage, I think I said something like, I honestly don't remember what I said. Let me just say, I love sea life. I'm just trying to keep it really short and simple so that you can get to your own. Get rid of all that. It's a little small right now. Now I can enlarge it. We'll talk a lot more about fonts and sizes and things later. But for the moment, I do need that to be bigger. So I made it bigger. I'm making the whole thing bigger, but I'm failing to. I'm gonna delete this for the moment and start again. Sometimes, rather than fighting with something, it's just easier to delete it. Start again. I don't want 48. I want, actually, there we go. I love sea life. All right, so I'll leave it at that for the moment. And there's a couple more things that I could do. I love sea life. If I go to this FX down here, you see where it says drop shadow? I can add a drop shadow to that. I can add a lot of things to that, and we're going to learn more about that when we get to text. But for now, I could do something like that. The other thing you can do, I would save your work. So at this point, I would just hit save. And this one is just called Underworld PSD.